Hey, good morning, folks. It's Pastor Stephen coming at you with another No Frills daily devotional. And today's passage is coming from Isaiah. I've been tracking through the book of Isaiah, and we're in chapter 49. And I'm going to start reading in verses 19 through 21. And Isaiah's writing this, but he's quoting God again through the prophetic voice. He's saying, "Though you were ruined and made desolate, and your land laid waste, now you will be too small for your people, and those who devoured you will be far away. The children born during your bereavement will yet say in your hearing, 'This place is too small for us. Give us more space to live in.' Then you will say in your heart, 'Who bore me these? I was bereaved and barren. I was exiled and rejected. Who brought these up? I was left all alone, but these, where have they come from?'" And so today's kind of big thought with this passage is, I guess I've written it in my Bible as increase in exile, right, with a question mark, because Isaiah's talking about the fact that Israel, so he's prophesying that they're going to get taken away, right, in exile, which the Babylonians are coming on the scene pretty quick. The northern kingdom at this time has already been exiled by the Assyrian army, and now you've got this new power coming on the scene called the Babylonians. And so Isaiah's prophesying in previous chapters already that they're going to be taken away, right? But now what he's doing here through the prophetic voice and quoting God here is that God is talking about them increasing in exile. And I thought that was a unique thought and a unique idea. And honestly, I thought that it speaks well to this season of life because for many of us, this season has been a difficult season, whether it's due to rioting or due to job loss or whether it's due to health scares. This season has been difficult. And honestly, if you've watched any of our other videos that I do with Pastor Kirk, who I work with, we talk a lot about how every season is meant for bearing fruit. Okay, every season of life is meant for bearing fruit, and even bad seasons, and I would argue that especially bad seasons are meant for bearing fruit. But the power of the Holy Spirit is evident in that you and I can bear good fruit in bad seasons, right? That shows how little we play a part in the fruit bearing, right? We play a part in that. We need to be obedient and sensitive to where Holy Spirit is leading us, but honestly, it's Him doing the work in us to bear good fruit in bad seasons. And so what I see in this passage from Isaiah is there's this increase in exile, right? He says that, in verse 20, right? The children born during your bereavement. And you're going to ask things like this in your heart in verse 21. Who bore me these children, right? And he closes out in the last part of verse 21, like, where have they come from? And I honestly think that that's on the docket for you and I. When we follow the Holy Spirit, we're going to get through a bad season and look back on it and go and see like God, you did such amazing things in me during that time. And oftentimes we don't see what God's doing in us when we're in the thick of it. But what I see in this prophecy is that Holy Spirit wants to open our eyes so that we do see what God's doing in our lives, even in the bad times of our lives. Holy Spirit is wanting to produce fruit, because what's Isaiah talking about here? Well, if you take a look at 2 Kings 24:14, I'm going to flip there quickly, and he's talking about the Israelites being carried off by the Babylonians here, okay? So he carried into exile all Jerusalem. It's talking about King Nebuchadnezzar, all the officers and fighting men, and all the craftsmen and artisans, a total of 10,000. Okay? right? 10,000 people carried off into exile when Jerusalem finally fell. 10,000 people, okay? But then if you fast forward to the book of Ezra, and I'm reading in Ezra chapter 2, verse 64. Now this is when the Israelites come back from exile. It says the whole company numbered 42,360. It went from 10,000 to 42,000 in exile. And what's crazy is that shouldn't have happened. In exile, the Israelites should have all but disappeared, all but went away. But what we see through the power of the Holy Spirit and the work of our loving Father is that He can increase in exile. Okay? So whatever your situation is, whatever you're experiencing, realize this. If you can give that situation, that circumstance over to the Holy Spirit, you're going to see an increase in that season. You're going to bear good fruit in that season. Why? Because Holy Spirit is that good and God is that powerful. Hey, you guys, hope you're having an awesome day. Take care and God bless.